Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Marvel Rivals. I thought what would be kind of cool is I did this before with Season 0, where I actually read those, and I didn't realize that what they are basically doing here is that as you collect these through the seasons, you get to keep these just kind of like it's like a comic book collection, basically, which I think is, of course, a really cool idea. This is Marvel, of course. Now, the Season 2 one is still in progress, so I can't show you all those because, well, I haven't gotten them all yet. But I imagine more of those will get added as we progress through the season. However, the Season 1 version is done, so I thought I'd go ahead and read those for you. This was a season that had a Dracula theme. Bad news, loyal readers. We're bringing you yet another morning... I kind of turned into Stan Lee there for a moment. We're bringing you yet another morning edition of New York's finest newspaper, the Daily Bugle. Why? Because our beloved borough has been trapped in a state of never-ending night for who knows how long. That's why, as publisher of these peerless periodicals, it's J. Jonah Jameson doing this. As publisher of this peerless periodical, it's up to me, J. Jonah Jameson, to provide you with all the info that you need to navigate the perpetual pitch. So here's the scoop. It's really hard for me to replicate, especially for this long, the JJ from the Tobey Maguire movies. As much as I love the guy, it's really hard to channel that in the same way for a long period of time. Like for very short term, it's not that bad. Long term though, so I think I may just read this normally, especially so that way it doesn't take as much of a toll on my throat. Our intrepid reporters still don't have a solid source willing to admit what caused Manhattan to become an empire of eternal night, but anonymous scientists have independently confirmed that a massive wave of coronal energy washed over our planet shortly before things went dark. Coincidence? I think not. Like something out of a bad horror movie, our city's streets are now being stalked by vampires. You heard me right. These bloodsuckers have been draining veins faster than my libel lawyers drain my bank account. Our former friends and neighbors are quickly turning into our worst enemies. Rumor has it that Dracula himself has taken up residence in Central Park. It sounds a bit far-fetched to me, but if that caped creeper really is organizing an army, we'd all be better off relocating to New Jersey. And those aren't words that this lifelong New Yorker types easily. So where are all the superheroes? Eyewitnesses have identified members of the Fantastic Four coming and going regularly from their stronghold in the Baxter Building. As always, the Richards family is on the front line of the crisis, and we here at the Bugle applaud them for their selfless service. Not like that menace Spider-Man! Tony Stark recently issued a press release claiming that he and Reed Richards are collaborating on a number of innovative solutions to restore New York to its former glory as quickly and efficiently as possible. However, my source on the inside suggests that these two big brains may be at odds when it comes to exactly how they plan to end this endless night. Reed wants to save everyone while Tony's still calculating how many losses are acceptable. My vote goes with Richards. Other heroes have been seen patrolling the streets, rescuing citizens stupid enough to wander beyond the safety of their apartments. Squirrel Girl, Moon Knight, Cloak and Dagger, you name them. They're probably out there risking their lives to save yours. So for once, I'm willing to put aside my personal distaste for costume crusaders and say thank you, on behalf of the people of New York, to all those fighting the good fight. Except for one. I have it on very good authority that the less-than-amazing Spider-Man dodged his duties and swung through a portal to have a spider party with his friends in the far-flung future. I'll see if my favorite photographer, Peter Parker, can get me a solid snapshot of that webbed weirdo abandoning his adoring public. That's it for now, fearless readers. We'll have plenty more news for you tomorrow, if tomorrow ever comes. J. Jonah Jameson, publisher. Gotta love good old JJ, right? At your service. Welcome to the Baxter Building. I am a humanoid experimental robot B-type, integrated electronics, but you may call me Herbie. I don't know what Herbie's voice actually is, so I'm not going to try and replicate a robotic voice right now. Not with my throat not being in great condition right now, anyway. I understand that you must have an urgent matter that requires immediate attention if you are willing to brave the streets of New York to seek out the Fantastic Four's assistance. Unfortunately, all our personnel are momentarily occupied dealing with other crises. By the way, I'm doing this before the Fantastic movie comes out next month. Just giving you that clarification. Dr. Reed Richards, designate Mr. Fantastic, is in his laboratory working on the prototype of a time stream reintegration device with the help of Tony Stark, designate Iron Man. If the device functions as planned, it could theoretically undo the damage caused to the multiverse by the time stream entanglement. There is even hope that it will break the curse that has locked New York City in a state of perpetual night. However, despite his ability to elongate his physical form, I fear Dr. Richards may finally be stretching himself too thin of late. Susan Richards, designate Invisible Woman, is currently on a reconnaissance mission in Central Park, seeking out information on the organizational structure of the vampire army that has invaded the island of Manhattan during this period of prolonged darkness. Her unparalleled stealth abilities have allowed her to gather critical intel on our new foes, putting her directly in the face of grave danger far more frequently than the rest of her family would like. Her brother, Jonathan Storm, designate Human Torch, is on patrol with Spider-Man, identity classified, rescuing civilians who have fallen into peril and recruiting other heroes who have yet to join our cause. Now that the sun no longer rises, Johnny's flames may have made him the center of attention wherever he goes, exactly as he had always hoped to be. He has become a beacon of hope to many in these dark times, and a constant warning to any creatures of the night who might dare to oppose him. Benjamin Grimm, designate The Thing, is on a supply run in Lower Manhattan. His expert piloting skills have recently proven nearly as useful as his super strength and rock-hard skin. He has managed to single-handedly save hundreds of lives while retrieving vital equipment and valuable samples, including rare chronovium crystals for Dr. Richards to analyze. With all members of the Fantastic Four disposed, that leaves me to run daily operations here at the Baxter Building. While I wish I could offer to support you in the field, I am afraid that the few times I have ventured beyond these walls have not gone as smoothly as hoped. Unless Dr. Richards upgrades my offensive capabilities or identifies a mission with objectives that only I can complete, I do believe it would be best for both of us to remain within the safety of these walls, until a qualified individual becomes available to assist you. Thank you for your patience. Please take a seat in our lobby with the other civilians who have come to seek our aid. You are currently number 1,961 on the waitlist. Thicker than blood. Tell me, why have you come here? You are a long way from Latveria. I have brought you a gift from one king to another, a tribute befitting the Lord of the Vampires. A gift from Victor Von Doom? Ha! Do you think me a fool? Another one of your era's pathetic supervillains whose loyalty can be purchased with mere baubles? I am Dracula. I have reigned over the night for centuries. And with this crystal, perhaps that reign could become permanent, as could the night itself. Ah, now you have piqued my curiosity, Masked One. Do tell me more. What you hold in your hand is called chronovium. It was born from an experiment of mine that caused the very fabric of time and space to unravel and reweave itself in unexpected ways. As the chronal energy released in the process stabilized once again, it took this crystalline form. Shards of pure time? Fascinating. Not as fascinating as what could be achieved with this gem by one such as yourself. I have studied both the scientific data and the ancient texts. If my theory is correct, a single drop of blood from an immortal being, such as yourself, could unlock the vast power held within this crystal. You could gain complete control over time, in a limited area. Imagine a modern metropolis locked in a state of unending darkness, becoming a permanent feeding ground for your minions. An empire of eternal night where you rule supreme. Oh, how lovely that would be, if it were true. But I have never been given reason to trust your words before, Doom. Why would I begin now? Because we both have much to gain from this arrangement. If you were to choose New York City as your new domain, your legion of followers would keep the so-called heroes who dwell there fully occupied. It would allow us both the freedom to pursue our greater goals. And what greater goal is there than eternal night? An existence where your people can walk in the daylight without any fear or harm, and with the proper spell, pulled from the pages of the Darkhold and enhanced by the power of this crystal. I believe that dream could become a reality. The vampiric verses? Indeed. I am not naive, Victor. There is something more that you are not yet revealing to me. Doom never reveals all. But I promise you, on the soul of my mother, this is not an act of deception. What I have offered you will come to pass, should you choose it to. And all it takes is one drop of blood. All it takes is one drop of blood, you say? Just one drop. I do believe I can spare that much. After all, the streets of New York will be running red with it soon enough. Ancient game. Ever since I first started hanging around with my pal Stephen Strange, he's always told me the same thing. Bats, he says. Being the sorcerer supreme of this dimension means that I do not have the time for games. But I guess that was just something he made up to get out of playing fetch with yours truly. Because apparently when there is a high-stakes game to be played for the fate of all reality, the Doctor is all in. You see, a while back we got paid a visit by another so-called Doctor of what I'm not really sure. This one called himself Doom. He wanted to get his hands on one of the spell books in Strange's library. But this tome, a book of black magic called the Darkhold, was strictly off limits. By the way, I believe that is touched upon in the Doctor Strange story. If you go into his character screen and you look at the stories, I believe that's covered in the first story about Strange, which I have not covered yet, but I do want to cover that at some point. Doom wasn't thrilled about the fact that Stephen had a feeling that his fellow Doctor was bound to come knocking again. Strange decided that the safest option would be to open a rift between realities and stash the Darkhold where no one would find it ever again. And this is where things get a little kooky, even for a ghost dog like me. Time itself got turned upside down, and Strange ended up lost in the astral plane for a hot minute. While he was there, he searched for the Darkhold to make sure that it was still safe. But, surprise, it had somehow fallen into the bony hands of an Egyptian moon god by the name of Khonshu. This bird-skulled freak had been protecting travelers in the night for centuries, and he thought the best way to keep doing that would be to use the Darkhold to eliminate the vampires that had overrun New York City. Not a bad plan, honestly, except for the fact that it would hurt thousands of regular folks who had been unwillingly turned to the dark side. Khonshu took Strange captive and tried to make the Doc cast that nasty spell for him. But Strange knew that he had to shut Khonshu down. Luckily, the Scarlet Witch had reminded Stephen that Khonshu loved a good game of Senet, which is some kind of fancy Egyptian board game, like chess. Even better, Khonshu wasn't particularly great at the game. Seriously, according to legend, he lost a match to some other god named Thoth and forfeited his radiance as part of the wager. That's the whole reason that the moon waxes and wanes. Look it up. Anywho, Strange played the game of his life, securing not only his freedom, but recovering the Darkhold as well. Funny part is, Stephen used a strategy that Doc Doom himself unintentionally tipped him off to, moving his piece to the House of Truth space and drowning Khonshu's in the House of Water, giving the Doc a chance for a major comeback. It was a big gamble, but one that paid off, and now that he's back safe and sound, I haven't even gotten on his case about always turning me down whenever I want to play. The guy did save thousands of innocent lives, after all. He deserves a free pass. This time. But you better believe that that next time I ask him to toss a ball for me, I ain't taking no for an answer. The Fall of Midtown. Name's Blade. Folks call me that 'cause of the swords I use to slice the heads off every vampire I cross paths with. That's my attempt at Wesley Snipes, by the way. To be fair, I use a lot more than swords. Wooden stakes, silver bullets. Here I'll use a squirt gun full of holy water. That's what it takes to put a fanger down for good. I ain't picky. I've been hunting vamps my whole life, sending the undead back to their graves to make the night a safer place for the living. It ain't an easy job, but I'm one of the few with skills or the guts to do it. When I heard that Dracula had some sort of master plan brewing, you can bet I jumped on the first red-eye to Transylvania. Turns out Drac wasn't home. He decided to make New York City his new stomping grounds. And he had a trick up his sleeve that even I didn't see coming. Somehow that freak cast a spell that stopped the sun from rising, trapping Manhattan in a state of non-stop darkness. That made New York City the perfect place for his hungry horde to run wild 24/7. Even worse, it took away my biggest advantage. See, I'm half vampire, half human. I've got all the powers of a regular vamp plus the bonus of being able to walk and hunt in broad daylight. But when the dawn don't ever come, well, it means my usual way of doing things ain't gonna cut it anymore. Found that out the hard way when I got back to New York. I sliced a trail through an army of fangers straight to Central Park. Dracula already had a fortress there, and I was itching to pay him a visit. Turns out he knew I was coming and wanted to give me a proper welcome. That pasty creep ambushed me, and even though I fought for my life alongside Spider-Man and the Human Torch, he got the upper hand and hauled me away to the dungeon beneath his castle. Gotta say, it was a smart move on his part. When you know who your biggest threat is, you take them out first, right? That's why I was going after Drac, and the fact that he felt the same way about me is kind of an honor. Or it would be, if I weren't shackled to the wall in this rat-infested cesspit.
And that is why we see him chained up in that map. If you're playing on attack and you get to the last checkpoint and you go to the spawn room, that's why he's there.
I ain't the only one Dracula needed out of the way either. Apparently there's some Asgardian squirrel named Ratatasker, whose enchanted horn can end the life of whatever it pierces, no matter how immortal. Drac summoned that magic squirrel to Earth and locked it up in chains too. With his most dangerous foes off the board, Dracula's minions have free reign of the city. Sure, the other heroes trying to take him down, but the numbers are in Drac's favor. All I can do is wait and hope that someone eventually sets me free. It's gonna be a long night.
Blade is not in the game, by the way, but you know he's going to get added to the game. At some point, he will get added. I'd be stunned if Blade does not get added into this game at some point. Midnight missions. Don't know if you can hear me right now, Khonshu. It's never been like you to actually listen to anyone's prayers. But if by some strange chance this is one of the rare moments where you've decided to give a damn, you might as well know what your Moon Knight has been doing in your name. You sent me here to New York City to continue your sworn mission, keeping travelers in the night safe from peril. And that's been no easy task now that the entire city has been overrun by vampires. But luckily I'm not the only one who's been looking to bust up Dracula's blood-sucking brood. Your knight has formed his own round table. We've been calling ourselves the Eternity Knights. Has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? It all started when Iron Man and I came to the mutual realization that some of the other heroes we'd aligned ourselves with wouldn't be willing to get their hands or their costumes dirty. They're also hung up on the idea that some of these vamps used to be innocent civilians. They aren't willing to accept the notion that every war has casualties. It's like you always taught me. Vengeance comes at a steep cost, and so does victory. Stark came around to my way of thinking pretty quickly, but not everyone followed suit. The Fantastic Four and that annoying girl with all the squirrels were too squeaky clean to do what needed to be done. So while they're up in their ivory tower trying to figure out what ways to save everyone, we're down here on the streets doing the real work, saving as many lives as we can, and ending the ones that can't be saved. Some of my crew are proud to be doing what we do as so well. Wolverine and the Winter Soldier wear the ichor like it's a badge of honor. So does the new girl with the giant sword that speaks Japanese. She may be a better hunter than I am, but others don't want their reputations to be tarnished by the blood we're spilling. Good thing Stark has an endless flow of cash and a knack for design. After some recent experiments, he incorporated chronovium into his armor specs, tapping into its ability to rewind time. The results were some epic new suits with a gothic aesthetic that hits all the right notes. And faces. We may not be the only ones, sporting new threads, though. We recently ran across a group of vamps near my hideout in Greenwich Village that were being led by a man in fancy white armor, and I could have sworn I recognized him from somewhere. Well, whoever he was, he looked like he was ready to give old Dracula a run for his money when it comes to leadership over the vampire army. And when he does, I'm going to be there to watch. In the meantime, I'll be here, keeping the streets safe and doing your dirty work for you, just like a good fist of Khonshu does. As long as the moon stays out, your knight will be at service, whether you're listening or not. And, of course, there's Moon Knight. Ah! Turning the pages. The Baxter Building. Reed Richards' laboratory.
We've done it, Reed, Dr. Strange exclaimed. Almost all of the pages of the Darkhold are back in our hands once more.
And according to my calculations, Mr. Fantastic replied, the chronal energy that's been granted to them should be sufficient enough to get the time machine reintegration device running. All we need to do is extract the time essence from each page and...
Not so fast, fellas.
The voice unexpectedly interrupted over the Baxter Building's comm system. Last I checked, the TRD was a joint effort. And Tony Stark has never been one to miss a product launch.
Tony?
Mr. Fantastic gasped.
We cannot let him stand in our way,
Dr. Strange said with a quick gesture of his hands. The ancient pages of the Darkhold began to swirl around him in a mystical frenzy.
Get those pages into the chronal siphon now, Stephen, Mr. Fantastic ordered. I'll deal with our uninvited guest.
Deal with me? Iron Man laughed over the speaker. And how are you going to do that? By building an untested device and activating it before it gets enough energy to actually get the job done? Oh, wait. You're already doing that.
You know full well that we don't have the time to wait until everything is perfect, Tony, Mr. Fantastic said. The time stream entanglement has to be undone, and the TRD will get the job done. I've crunched all the numbers. But somehow you've lost count of the seconds, Iron Man said, because I'll be there to stop you from making your biggest mistake ever in 4, 3, 2... Before Iron Man could finish his countdown, Mr. Fantastic stretched his malleable body into a sheet-like barrier blocking off the entrance to his laboratory. 1! Iron Man yelled from the other side of the doorway. Mr. Fantastic grimaced as a barrage of repulsor beams hit him from behind. Though his escalated, elasticized form absorbed most of the impact, the pain was still excruciating. Reed! Dr. Strange shouted, deep concern showing on the Sorcerer Supreme's usually stoic face. I wasn't aiming for you, old friend, Iron Man said. You just got between me and my targets. The pages, Mr. Fantastic asked through gritted teeth. But, Tony, they may be our only hope. I fully agree, Iron Man answered, but only if we have all of them. And Moon Knight tells me that we are still missing 2 of the most powerful spells in the book. The Montesi formula and the vampiric verses, Dr. Strange said knowingly. Bingo, Iron Man replied. Without those in the mix, the chance of the TRD failing increase beyond a margin of error that I am willing to accept. Now tell me, Reed, are you still going to bet the fate of our universe on countless others on a device that is not ready? Mr. Fantastic paused, then uttered a phrase he couldn't recall leaving his lips in ages. I don't know. Really cool image there. I love the artwork of these. Star Turn. When I was younger, I always wanted to be a star. Whether it was as the hottest actor in Hollywood or the fastest driver on the racing circuit, I had this nagging feeling that the name Johnny Storm was destined to be burned into people's minds forever. If I'd only known how right I was. When my sister's genius boyfriend Reed invited me to join him on a mission to space, I thought I'd found my ticket to fame. Johnny Storm, astronaut. Wasn't exactly the role I'd been prepping for my whole life, but traveling the stars seemed like a logical first step to stardom. The sky was the limit. When we crashed back to Earth, we had new cosmic powers that turned us from a group of explorers into a team of superheroes. People on the streets called me the Human Torch whenever I flamed on, but underneath the sheath of burning hot plasma, I was still good old Johnny Storm, and it was finally my time to shine. Being a member of the Fantastic Four skyrocketed me to celebrity status. I made the front page... Whoops. It jumped there. I made the front page of the Daily Bugle at least once a week, and the gossip page at least 3 times. I'd had a bunch of lucrative product endorsements, and I amassed a following of die-hard fans who hung on my every move. It was everything I ever wanted when I was a kid. But I've started to think that maybe it's not enough. See, between commercial shoots and the nightclub openings, my day job has always been saving the world. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm really good at it. Or at least I was, until Dracula somehow cursed New York City and trapped it in constant darkness. The city's heroes have been fighting vampires and each other, as we've tried to find a solution, but nothing seems to be working. And frankly, I'm feeling a bit burnt out. But there may still be hope. While Reed tinkers with some sort of timeline-fixing doohickey,
My big sis Sue is taking the battle straight to its source. She found a way to Dracula's castle and she's planning to lead a squad in to finish the fight. But she's going to need a major distraction to pull it off. It's a good thing her baby brother has never been one to pass up on some extra attention. If I push my powers to their limits, I can go supernova and buy Sue and her crew the time they need. And since I'll essentially become a mini sun for a hot second, I'll wipe out a ton of vampires in the process. Boy, do those jerks hate the sun. Yeah, I know the risks. At best, I'm going to lose consciousness. At worst, well, let's just hope the Bugle writes me a good obituary. And it better be on the front page, above the fold, because if Johnny Storm goes down, it's going to be as the star he was always meant to be. And you can see, when he goes supernova, he literally starts, like, killing a bunch of vampires from the sheer sun heat he puts out. Plans within plans. Oh no, what do you know? It looks like Dr. Doom manipulated this whole situation to portray Dracula. Based on this artwork, let's find out. A passage from the Book of Doom, 2099. Doom rarely finds a reason to admit fault, but I must say, I seem to have underestimated myself. When that bothersome past version of me, the one from decades ago, whose foolish meddling fractured the time stream, gave a powerful shard of chronovium to the Lord of Vampires as a part of a ploy to shroud New York City in darkness, I assumed he was merely playing games that were far beneath my notice. I should have realized that any Doom, even one lesser than I, always has a scheme in play that will unfold into something far grander. With time. Despite his initial reservations, Dracula convinced himself that the Doom of his era was an ally to his cause, having provided him with the means to locate a missing page of the Darkhold containing the vampiric verses. With that incantation, Dracula believed he would be able to raise an infinite army of the undead that would spread across the world and feast until the end of days. Though Dracula knew in his black heart that Doom could not be trusted, he looked past his trepidations to achieve his own goals. It was an error in judgment that would prove fatal. Doom had deceived Dracula. From the very start, my past self did indeed want Dracula to locate the vampiric verses, but not so that the Vampire King could create more Children of the Night. Instead, Doom wished to tap into the very essence of the immortality bestowed upon vampire kind through this arcane rite. By funneling that time-defying magic into the chronovium, Doom believed he could create an even stronger form of the crystal, pure blood chronovium. After all, if a single drop of Dracula's blood infused into the shard could give the vampires an empire, Doom suspected that an endless supply of that same immortal energy would help him reshape the time stream as he saw fit. Knowing full well that such machinations would be instantly opposed by the Sorcerer Supreme and his heroic allies, Doom could not risk his true plot being discovered. So he manipulated events from the shadows, letting Dracula and his minions dirty their hands as they unwittingly held Doom's greatest foes at bay. And once the vampiric verses were located, Doom changed his allegiance and secretly assisted the heroes in their efforts to defeat Dracula, all in order to claim his ultimate prize and work his ancient magic on the chronovium. Surprisingly, Doom's plan turned out to be a resounding success, with every move unfolding just as he had orchestrated it. Outwitting everyone, Doom stood triumphant with the pure blood chronovium in his iron grip. Even I was impressed. But he is not the only Doom with grand plans in motion, and while he may have ended this round with a win, I will soon prove to him that he is but a mere glimmer of the man that he is destined to become. Now, if you will excuse me, Doom has a gala to attend. And that explains why, when you see the trailer for Season 2, we actually see Doom at the Hellfire Gala chatting with Loki.
It's very brief and very quick, but if you look at the trailer, you will see in the background Loki is chatting with Doctor Doom. And I was like, why is Doom there? How is he there and nobody is making a deal about it? Like, of course, Loki knew he was there and he's chatting with him, but why are none of the heroes that are there, like, going, hey, Doom is here, get him! But we will cover more of that once I finish collecting more of Season 2 about the Hellfire Gala, because as you can see, there's still a number of these that I have not been able to collect. Now, I think apparently there is a way to actually acquire some of these. And as you can see, I'll let you know, like, this is from the Cerebro Database event, which is currently ongoing. I just have to wait a number of days before it becomes available. This one apparently is like, hey, you can actually get this gallery card for a bit, which I guess I can get now, because I do have the currency to get it. Alright, there we go. So I have that one now. Now, what about these? And I'm wondering, are these ones I can only get via buying them with the currency? Because that seems a little odd. Usually these are able to be earned in different events. Like, I mentioned how right here, like, sometimes they have it in these, like, particular events right here. Or in this case here, like this Cerebro event right here where you can get these. It says that you can actually get them via these. So, I don't know. I'll try and find out if there's a way I can get those other gallery cards without having to spend currency, even though I have a decent amount of currency. And plus, once you finish the Battle Pass and you just keep collecting Chrono Tokens, you can just trade them for these, in which case I can then just trade these to get the gallery cards, so without having to actually like spend any money or anything. So, well, that's just yeah, so that is the gallery for Season 1, the Eternal Night. Now we have a better idea as to what was actually going on those maps and why it was focused on that season. By the way, the special edition is for some of these other events going on here, like this festival one here, and this winter one over here as well. But the serials are the ones that go over an entire season. So when I finish the Volume 2, which is Season 2, I will go ahead and also do one for that as well. So I hope you enjoyed my reading of those. I will be looking to continue working on reading the more of these. I mentioned how it looks like the Doctor Strange one, this story here, is the one that covers where Doom pays Strange a visit here about that. But that will be for a separate video when I start reading a number of these stories here. I've already done one on Adam Warlock. As you can see, there are a couple of different ones here for Black Panther. And I believe a new one was added this season for Tony Stark, Fathers and Sons. But yeah, so let's just say some of these I'm very much looking forward to, just because it's nice knowing about some of these things from a standpoint of why is this going on, why are we doing this, why are we here, what's going on. So yeah, I hope you guys look forward to those. Let me know in the comments, and I will see you guys next time.